The discovery. Sarah Chen had spent 15 years hunting salvage in the Outer Rim, but she'd never seen anything quite like this. The vessel hung motionless against the backdrop of the Carina Nebula, its hull a patchwork of strange, iridescent metals that seemed to absorb rather than reflect the light of nearby stars. "Minerva, run another scan," she ordered, leaning forward in her captain's chair aboard the salvage ship, Fortunate Find. "Something's not adding up here." "Fourth scan complete, Captain," the ship's ag responded. "And I must admit, I'm as puzzled as you are. The vessel's composition doesn't match any known materials in my database, yet it's clearly artificial." Sarah's crew of 5 gathered on the bridge, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and concern. Diego, her chief engineer, scratched his beard thoughtfully as he studied the holographic readouts. "Those energy readings are impossible. It's like the ship is breathing." "That's what worries me," Sarah replied, tapping her fingers against the armrest. "We've got salvage rights to this sector, but if this thing is some kind of living ship, contact." Marcus, her sensor operator, suddenly called out. "Multiple vessels dropping out of FTL. Signatures match hegemony warships." Sarah felt her heart skip a beat. The astral hegemony, an alliance of advanced alien species that had been pushing into human space for the past decade. They claimed to be peaceful explorers, but their actions often suggested otherwise. 3 cruisers and what looks like a diplomatic vessel, Marcus continued. "They're hailing us." "Put them through," Sarah ordered, straightening in her chair. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the elegant, crystalline features of a hegemony diplomat. Like all their kind, Ambassador Xiris appeared to be carved from living crystal, with faceted eyes that gleamed with internal light. "Human vessel," the ambassador's translated voice rang with artificial warmth. "You have our thanks for locating this artifact. The hegemony claims salvage rights under Galactic Convention Article 7. Please withdraw to a safe distance." Sarah's eyes narrowed. "With all due respect, Ambassador, we have registered salvage rights to this sector. Under the same convention, Article 12, First Discovery Rights, do not apply to Class X artifacts." Tegaris interrupted smoothly. "This vessel is clearly of precursor origin. Your presence here is no longer required or desired." Before Sarah could respond, Diego grabbed her arm. "Captain," he whispered urgently, "look at these readings. The unknown ship, it's powering up." The massive vessel that had appeared dead for so long suddenly pulsed with internal light. Patterns of energy began flowing across its hull like liquid lightning. Both human and hegemony ships backed away instinctively as the ancient vessel came to life. "This is impossible," Tyrus declared, their crystalline features showing genuine alarm for the first time. "Our scans indicated it was completely dormant." The ambassador's transmission cut off as a wave of energy rippled out from the mysterious ship. Sarah's crew watched in amazement as the energy passed harmlessly through the Fortunate Find, but caused all 4 hegemony vessels to suddenly go dark. "Their ships," Marcus reported in disbelief. "All systems are offline. They're dead in space." A new voice filled the bridge, deep, resonant, and somehow ancient. "Genetic scan complete. Human presence confirmed. Initiating first contact protocol." Sarah felt a strange tingling sensation throughout her body as the voice continued. "I am the Custodian, a seed ship of the Builders. For 50,000 years, I have waited for a species worthy of my Creator's legacy. The hegemony was tested and found wanting. But you humans have potential." The ship's hull began to transform, panels sliding away to reveal what was unmistakably a docking port sized perfectly for the Fortunate Find. "Sarah Chen," the Custodian addressed her directly, "your species stands at a crossroads. The hegemony is merely the first of many challenges you will face. I offer you a choice. Leave now, continue your salvage work, and let the galaxy unfold as it will, or dock with me, and learn why the Builders chose humanity as their heirs." Sarah looked at her crew, Seeing the same mix of fear and excitement, she felt reflected in their faces. 15 years of hunting salvage had led to this moment. But this wasn't salvage anymore. This was something far more important. "What about the hegemony ships?" she asked. "Their systems will restore in approximately 6 hours," the custodian replied. "Long enough for you to make your choice. But know this, if you choose to leave, I will resume dormancy. The next species to find me may not receive the same offer." Sarah took a deep breath, knowing her next words would change not just her life, but potentially the future of humanity itself. The hegemony had been pushing humans back for years, treating them as primitive newcomers to galactic society. But if this ancient vessel saw something special in humanity— "Minerva," she ordered, "plot a docking course." As the fortunate find moved toward the massive vessel, Sarah couldn't help but smile. She'd started this day looking for salvage, but instead, she might have just found humanity's ticket to the stars. The custodian's voice held what sounded almost like approval. "Welcome aboard, inheritors. Let us begin." First contact gone wrong. The fortunate find's docking clamps engaged with a soft thud that belied the monumentality of the moment. Sarah led her crew through the airlock, their footsteps echoing in the pristine corridor that seemed to glow with its own inner light. The air inside was perfectly breathable, another surprise from a ship that had supposedly been dormant for millennia. "Welcome, inheritors," the custodian's voice resonated through the hall. "You are the first organic beings to walk these corridors in 50,000 years." Diego ran his hand along one of the walls, his engineer's eyes wide with wonder. "This material, it's like nothing I've ever seen. It's warm to the touch, almost like it's alive." "In a manner of speaking, it is," the custodian replied. "The builders created what you would call a biomechanical interface. The ship is as much a living organism as it is a machine." They entered what appeared to be a control center, though it bore little resemblance to any bridge Sarah had ever seen. The room was circular, with a central platform surrounded by floating displays of light that shifted and moved like schools of fish. "Captain," Marcus called out, checking his portable scanner. "The hegemony ships are still dark, but I'm picking up multiple new contacts at the edge of the system. Big ones." The custodian's displays shifted, showing a tactical view of the system. "The hegemony has called for reinforcements. Their response is predictable. They fear what they cannot control." Sarah watched as more than a dozen new ships emerged from FTL travel. "Those aren't just warships," she observed. "Those are dreadnoughts. They're treating this like a major military operation." "As they should," the custodian stated. "What I represent, what I can offer humanity, would fundamentally alter the balance of power in this sector of space. The hegemony's dominance relies on their technological superiority. They cannot allow that to be challenged." A new voice cut through the air. The hegemony ambassador, broadcasting on all frequencies. "Unknown vessel, you have committed an act of war against the astral hegemony by disabling our ships. Surrender immediately or face destruction." To the human salvage crew, "You have 10 minutes to evacuate before we open fire." Sarah turned to the shifting lights that seemed to represent the custodian's presence. "I assume you have defensive capabilities." "I have capabilities beyond your current understanding," the custodian replied. "But before we proceed, you must understand what you're becoming part of. The builders didn't just leave a ship, they left a legacy. A test. Each species that finds me must prove not just their technological aptitude, but their wisdom in using it." "And the hegemony failed this test?" Sarah asked. "They found me 300 years ago," the custodian revealed. "They tried to take my secrets by force, to dominate rather than understand. Their ships did not simply lose power earlier. They were judged and found wanting. Again." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. The implications were staggering. The hegemony's entire technological civilization, their apparent superiority over humanity, might all be based on their first, failed contact with this vessel. 5 minutes until they opened fire, Marcus reported. Captain Lisa, the ship's doctor, spoke up for the first time. If what this ship says is true, if it really has chosen humanity, we can't just walk away from this. Think of what it could mean for our people. Sarah nodded slowly. Custodian, you said the builders left a legacy. What exactly does that mean for us? The lights in the room swirled faster, coalescing into a holographic display of the galaxy. Certain points of light pulsed with special significance. The builders seeded the galaxy with vessels like myself, each containing different aspects of their knowledge and power. I am but one of many. Find the others, prove yourselves worthy, and humanity will have the tools to forge its own destiny among the stars. And if we refuse, then the hegemony will destroy this vessel, and humanity will continue to be treated as children in a galaxy of giants. The choice, as always, is yours. Multiple alarms blared as Marcus called out, "Energy spike." They're powering weapons. The first salvo from the hegemony fleet lit up space like artificial stars. Sarah watched in amazement as the energy weapons simply passed through the vessel's hull as if it wasn't there. Phase shift technology, the custodian explained. The builders understood that the best defense is to simply not be where the attack lands. 2 more fleets dropping out of FTL, Marcus reported. They're surrounding us. Sarah straightened her shoulders. The choice before her wasn't just about her crew anymore. It was about humanity's future. The hegemony had kept humans confined to a handful of systems, always treating them as inferior, primitive. Now she understood why they were so afraid of humanity making contact with the builder's legacy. Custodian, she said firmly, teach us. Show us what humanity can become. The ship's interior began to transform around them. The walls shifted like liquid metal, creating new configurations, new possibilities. Command interface initializing, the custodian announced. Preparing for integration with human neural patterns. Sarah Chen, are you prepared to become something more than you are? To help guide humanity toward its true potential. Behind them, the hegemony fleet opened fire with everything they had. Ahead lay a future filled with challenges and wonders beyond imagination. Sarah smiled, feeling the ship's systems beginning to merge with her consciousness. We're ready, she said. Show us everything. The awakening. Sarah Chen gasped as the neural interface activated, flooding her consciousness with information. The custodian's knowledge poured into her mind like a digital waterfall, yet somehow her human brain adapted, evolved, processed. She understood now why the ship had waited for humanity. Their minds were uniquely flexible, capable of growing into the neural architecture the builders had designed. Neural synchronization at 60%, the custodian announced. Your adaptation rate exceeds all previous species attempts. Through the interface, Sarah could feel her crew experiencing similar transformations. Diego's engineering expertise merged with the ship's repair systems. Marcus's spatial awareness expanded to encompass the entire sensor network. Lisa's medical knowledge interfaced with the vessel's biological components. They were becoming something more than human, yet somehow remaining fundamentally themselves. Multiple hegemony vessels launching fighters, Marcus reported, his voice carrying new undertones of digital harmony. Their energy signatures suggest suicide runs. Sarah accessed the tactical displays with a thought. The hegemony had deployed over 300 fighter craft, each one loaded with antimatter warheads. They were done trying to capture the builder vessel. Now they just wanted to destroy it. They fear what they cannot understand, the custodian observed. But fear is not their failing. It was their response to that fear, choosing dominance over cooperation, force over wisdom. Through the neural link, Sarah felt the ship's weapon systems come online. They were unlike anything humanity had imagined. Technology that didn't just bend the laws of physics, but rewrote them entirely. We don't have to fight them, she said. We could just leave, find the other builder vessels. A noble thought, the custodian replied. But the hegemony's fear has turned to desperation. They will hunt you across the galaxy rather than allow humanity to claim the Builder's legacy. This confrontation was inevitable. The only question was when it would occur. The first wave of fighters struck the ship's phase-shifted hull and exploded harmlessly in space. The second wave adapted, their weapons modulating to try to match the ship's phase frequency. The third wave would likely succeed in landing at least a few hits. What would the Builders do in this situation? Sarah asked, buying time while she absorbed more of the ship's capabilities through the neural link. The custodian's response held a note of approval. They would seek to understand their opponent's fear, to show them a better path. But they would also not hesitate to defend themselves when necessary. The Builders were not pacifists. They simply understood that true power comes with responsibility. Sarah nodded, feeling her crew's support through their shared neural connection. Then let's show the hegemony what responsible power looks like. Diego, are you linked with the engineering systems? Like I was born to them, Captain, Diego replied. His consciousness merged with the ship's incredibly advanced technology. These systems, they're not just machines. They're more like living mathematics. Lisa, how's the biological interface holding up? The doctor's response came with undertones of wonder. Our bodies are adapting at an astronomical rate. The ship isn't just interfacing with us. It's helping us evolve to handle its systems. It's beautiful. Marcus, tactical analysis. Third wave of fighters incoming, but I've got something better. Marcus's consciousness expanded through the sensor networks. The Builders left us more than just technology, Captain. They left us their understanding of space-time itself. These fighters, I can see the quantum possibilities of every move they might make. Sarah absorbed this information through their shared neural link, feeling the ship's systems integrate more deeply with her consciousness. The custodian had been right. Humanity's minds were uniquely suited to this merger of organic and technological consciousness. Where the hegemony had tried to dominate the technology, humans were learning to dance with it. Show me, she commanded, and the tactical display exploded into new dimensions of understanding. She could see the probability waves of each fighter's trajectory, the quantum fluctuations that preceded their weapons fire. Time itself seemed to become fluid, a medium that could be navigated as easily as space. The third wave of fighters approached, their weapons primed. Sarah reached out through the neural interface, feeling the ship's defensive systems respond to her thoughts. Instead of trying to destroy the fighters, she did something that would have been impossible without the Builders' technology. She shifted them slightly out of phase with normal space-time, freezing them in a moment between moments. By the stars, Diego whispered, watching through their shared perception as 300 fighters hung suspended in space, their pilots unharmed but completely immobilized. Message to all hegemony vessels, Sarah broadcast, letting them see their fighters frozen in time-space. This is what the Builders offered you 300 years ago. Not weapons or power, but understanding. You chose dominance. We choose cooperation. Stand down, and let's talk about humanity's place in the galaxy. Or keep fighting and discover how much more we have to learn. The hegemony fleet's response came in the form of open fire, every capital ship launching their main weapons simultaneously. Sarah felt no fear as she watched the energy beams approach. Through the neural link, she could see the quantum structure of their attacks, the mathematical poetry of their destructive power, and with that understanding came the ability to respond not with greater violence, but with greater wisdom. The custodian's presence merged with her consciousness, offering guidance without control. Show them, it suggested, why the Builders chose humanity. Sarah smiled, reaching out through systems that operated on principles humanity had only dreamed of. It was time to demonstrate that true power wasn't about destruction. It was about possibilities. Trial by fire. The combined firepower of 30 hegemony capital ships lit up space like a newborn sun. Through the neural interface, Sarah could see the quantum structure of each energy beam, the intricate dance of particles and waves that made up their attack. But more importantly, she could see how to respond. All hands, she called out. though the neural link made verbal communication almost redundant now. Watch and learn. This is what the builders meant by responsible power. As the energy beams approached, Sarah reached out through the ship's systems, not to destroy or deflect, but to transform. The massive energies of the hegemony's attack were caught in fields of probability, their quantum states altered. Where there had been destructive force, there was now pure light, harmless and beautiful. Energy conversion successful. Diego reported through the neural link. His consciousness merged with the ship's engineering systems. They just gave us enough power to run the ship for a year. On the hegemony vessels, alarms blared as their sensors tried to process what had happened. Their most powerful weapons had been transformed into an artistic display of light and energy. The message was clear. They weren't just outmatched technologically. They were dealing with principles of science they couldn't comprehend. Multiple ships powering up FTL drives, Marcus reported, his enhanced senses tracking quantum fluctuations across the battlefield. They're preparing to retreat. Ambassador Xeris is hailing us. Lisa added, her consciousness monitoring communications while simultaneously studying how the ship's systems were changing their biology. Sarah accepted the transmission, and the crystalline features of the hegemony ambassador appeared before them, fear and awe warring in their faceted eyes. What are you? Xeris asked. We're human, Sarah replied simply. Just humans who have been given the chance to grow into something more. The same chance you were offered centuries ago. Impossible, Xeris declared, but there was uncertainty in their voice. The builder vessel rejected us. It deemed us unworthy. No, the custodian's voice joined the conversation. You rejected yourselves. When faced with technology you couldn't understand, you chose fear. When offered partnership, you chose dominance. When given the chance to grow, you chose to remain as you were. Through the neural link, Sarah felt a new presence. The hegemony's command ship was transmitting a priority signal to all its forces. She let the message flow through the builder vessel's quantum communications array, understanding its contents instantly. They're ordering a full assault, she informed her crew. All ships, all weapons. They'd rather destroy this system than let humanity keep the builder's legacy. What are our options? Diego asked, his engineering-enhanced mind already calculating possibilities. Sarah accessed deeper levels of the ship's capabilities, layers of technology that humanity hadn't even dreamed of yet. We could destroy them all, she said softly. The weapons systems alone. We could end this fight in seconds. But that's not what the builders would do, Lisa added, understanding flowing through their shared neural connection. That's not why they chose us. Exactly. Sarah smiled, feeling the ship's systems respond to her growing understanding. Marcus, plot me a course through their fleet. Diego, power up the phase drives but configure them differently. I want to shift not just us, but everything around us. Lisa, monitor the biological impact of what I'm about to try. And everyone, watch what happens when we use this power the way it was meant to be used. The builder vessel began to move, its hull shimmering with possibilities. The hegemony fleet opened fire again, every ship launching everything they had. But this time, Sarah didn't just convert their attacks. She rewrote reality itself around them. Space itself seemed to fold as the builder ship passed through the hegemony fleet. In its wake, it left not destruction but transformation. Every vessel it passed was temporarily shifted into a quantum state where time moved differently, where cause and effect became suggestions rather than laws. The hegemony crews found themselves experiencing moments of transcendent understanding, brief glimpses of the knowledge their ancestors had rejected. They saw the universe as the builders had seen it, not as a place of conflict and dominance, but as an infinite canvas of possibilities. By the eternal stars, Ambassador Xeris whispered, their crystalline form resonating with newfound awareness. All this time, we never understood. Neural link at maximum capacity, the custodian announced. Ready to initiate final sequence. Sarah nodded, feeling the ship's systems fully integrate with her consciousness. "Show them," she commanded. "Show them everything." The builder vessel's hull began to transform, not into weapons or defenses, but into something far more profound. It became a window into reality itself, showing the Hegemony fleet the true nature of space, time, and existence. They saw the quantum threads that bound the universe together, the mathematical poetry that wrote the laws of physics. And in that moment of revelation, the Hegemony finally understood what their ancestors had thrown away. They saw why humanity had been chosen, not because humans were stronger or smarter, but because they were willing to learn, to grow, to reach for understanding rather than control. One by one, the Hegemony ships powered down their weapons. On their bridges, crews stood in stunned silence, watching reality itself unfold before them. The age of dominance was ending. Something new was beginning. "Message from Hegemony Command," Marcus reported, a note of triumph in his voice. "They're standing down. All ships. They're requesting dialogue." Sarah smiled, feeling the approval of both her crew and the custodian through the neural interface. This was why the builders had chosen humanity. Not for what they were, but for what they could become. Not for their power, but for their potential to use that power wisely. "Open a channel," she ordered. "Let's show them what cooperation really means." Humanity's new dawn. 1 month after the confrontation with the Hegemony fleet, Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the builder vessel, now officially named Prometheus by Earth's hastily assembled First Contact Council. Below her, the blue-green marble of humanity's homeworld slowly rotated, more beautiful than she remembered. Neural synchronization now at 98%, the custodian reported. "Your crew continues to exceed all historical benchmarks for integration." Through the neural link, Sarah felt the presence of her crew, each of them having grown into their roles in ways she could never have imagined. Diego had mastered the ship's quantum engineering systems, learning to manipulate reality itself for repairs and modifications. Marcus's consciousness now moved through sensor networks that extended across light years. Lisa's understanding of biology had expanded to encompass life forms that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "The Hegemony delegation is approaching," Marcus announced, his enhanced senses tracking the diplomatic vessel's quantum signature. "Ambassador Xeris is aboard, along with representatives from 12 other species." Sarah nodded, feeling the Prometheus's systems respond to her thoughts. The ship had become more than just a vessel. It was an extension of their consciousness, a bridge between what humanity was and what it could become. "They're nervous," Lisa observed, her heightened empathic abilities. Another gift from the builder technology. Sensing the emotional state of the approaching delegation. But also hopeful. "As they should be," the custodian commented. "This meeting will reshape the political structure of this galaxy. The age of hegemony dominance is ending. What comes next depends on the wisdom humanity shows today." Sarah turned as Diego entered the observation deck, his neural link projecting calculations into their shared consciousness. "The quantum beacon network is online," he reported. "We've located 3 more builder vessels in adjacent sectors. Once we understand more of this ship's capabilities, we can begin planning expeditions." "All according to the builder's plan," the custodian observed. They seeded their vessels across the galaxy, knowing that eventually a species would prove worthy of their legacy. But they also knew that finding the vessels was only the beginning. The true test would be how their inheritors used what they found. The Hegemony vessel docked with a precision that would have been impossible a month ago. The diplomatic delegation that emerged was different from any that had come before. Where once there had been arrogance and superiority, now there was humility and genuine curiosity. Ambassador Xeris led the group, their crystalline form catching the light from Earth below. "Captain Chen," they greeted, their voice carrying new harmonics of respect. Or should I say, first speaker of the builder legacy. Sarah smiled at the formal title Earth's government had insisted on giving her. "Just Sarah is fine, Ambassador. We're all students here." "Indeed." Axaris gestured to their fellow delegates. We have spent the past month reviewing our histories, particularly the records of our first contact with the builder vessel. Our ancestors' pride and fear cost us dearly. We hope to learn from those mistakes. Through the neural link, Sarah felt the custodian's approval. This was exactly what the builders had hoped for. Not just the advancement of one species, but the elevation of all sentient life. The technology they had left behind wasn't meant to create new masters, but to break the cycle of dominance and fear. We have much to teach each other, Sarah said, leading the delegation toward the ship's newly created conference chamber. The builders left us more than just technology. They left us a vision of what the galaxy could become. As they walked, the ship's walls shifted and flowed around them, demonstrating the casual miracle of matter transformation that had once seemed impossible. The alien delegates watched in wonder, their own neural implants, gifts from the humans, allowing them to sense some of the quantum principles at work. The other builder vessels, one of the delegates asked, "What will you do when you find them?" Sarah shared a knowing look with her crew through their neural link. "We'll do exactly what was done here. We'll learn, we'll grow, and we'll share what we find." The builders didn't choose humanity to be the new hegemony. They chose us to be teachers, bridges between what is and what could be. The conference chamber materialized around them, its walls displaying real-time images of space folding and unfolding across thousands of light years. Through the quantum beacon network, they could see other human ships already moving out into the galaxy, not as conquerors but as explorers and diplomats. A month ago, Sarah continued, humanity was confined to a handful of systems, treated as primitives barely worth noticing. Today, we stand at the dawn of a new age. Not because we're special, but because we were willing to learn. Not because we're powerful, but because we understand that true power lies in how we lift each other up. The custodian's presence filled the chamber, its voice carrying the weight of 50,000 years of waiting. "The final tests are still to come," it reminded them. Finding the other vessels, understanding their secrets, learning to use their power wisely. These challenges will define not just humanity's future, but the future of all sentient life in this galaxy. Sarah nodded, feeling the truth of those words in her quantum-enhanced consciousness. The builders hadn't just left them technology. They had left them a purpose. A mission. A chance to prove that intelligence could evolve beyond conflict, beyond dominance, beyond fear. "So," she said to the assembled delegates, "shall we begin?" Around them, the Prometheus hummed with potential, its systems ready to help forge a new future. Above them, Earth continued its eternal dance around the sun, unaware that its children had taken their first steps toward a destiny greater than anyone had imagined. And somewhere, in the quantum frequencies that underpinned reality itself, Sarah could almost feel the builders watching, waiting to see what their chosen inheritors would become.